I'm not so sure that Mrs. Mama from the Bahamas would appreciate us grabbing her.
What are we grabbing?
We just said we're going to grab a Bahama Mama.
Well, you know what? They're very friendly down there in the Bahamas.
Okay.
I think some
they
of them
don't mind
wouldn't
a good grab.
Yeah.
As long as you're pulling them into your conga line.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Well, I like this conversation. Should we just continue with it, or should we redo the intro?
Let's just get into it. Who cares?
Okay. Well, that was good. That was a good intro.
Hey everyone, it's Elliot.
And Todd. Welcome to Two Designers Walk Into a Bar, an ongoing conversation about pop culture and iconic design. We've been exploring the Polynesian Pop trend that swept suburbia.
From the 1930s through the 70s, Tiki culture was everywhere.
And then, like the tide going out, it was gone.
So today we talk about the factors that brought it back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and how Tiki is influencing artists today.
So grab a Bahama Mama and join our conga line
as we swing, sway, and sashay back into the bar.
All right. Well, here we are. And if you have listened to the past two episodes, what you've heard is we've introduced the idea of Tiki culture, where it started, and kind of how it developed with professional designers. So, just real quick, let's do a recap. Thanks to Ernest Beaumont Gant, who opened the first tiki bar in Hollywood called Don the Beachcomber in 1934.
Yeah, and I think we should also thank the federal government for ending prohibition, right?
Oh, big thank you, federal government, for that.
One time in history, they made the right decision.
Yes. So, started back in 1934, picked up steam, a lot of interest from Americans that saw footage of the war in the South Pacific during World War II, and, of course, returning GIs. They were bringing back their experiences. We were welcoming a prosperous economy and the desire for people to move out of sort of city dwelling and get a little bit more space for suburban leisure time.
Yeah, but sometimes that could also be suffocating, right? So I think people wanted a safe escape.
Yeah, fair. What they saw is exotic, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't long before many movies and musical album covers and ephemera picked up on this tiki look.
Oh, yeah. Graphic designers, architectural and product designers, interior designers, fabric designers. Everyone was sold on this tiki aesthetic. But then time rolled on and aloha, Tiki. Here's your lei. Now get on the plane and get lost.
Yeah, I feel like there should be a sad trombone, but they didn't use trombones. A sad drum.
Yeah, sad. What are the little sort of xylophone? Playing like keyboard cat, xylophone cat, playing Tiki off, right?
Yeah, playing Tiki off. Yeah, because then came the 70s, and tiki restaurants were well past their prime then.
Man, I don't know. Looking at the interior design in a lot of the 70s movies we've talked about, I think tiki should have stuck around a little longer and we should have hopped right into the 80s.
It morphed into something else, but many of the restaurants and bars started to close, and a lot of the independent tiki bars closed, as well as the major chains that were in hotels like Trader Vic's Outrigger and Sheraton's Kon-Tiki. I had forgotten about Sheraton's Kon-Tiki because it was gone.
Yeah, that's a good reason to forget about it. Didn't you say that our friend Elvis's Jungle Room went through an extensive renovation around that same time? Something tells me maybe that was more than a coincidence.
Yeah, you're saying that Elvis and the Jungle Room was the death knell of tiki culture? I don't know, man.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, I think Elvis was a little late to the party on that one. Even though, ironically, he had been in a number of Hawaiian-themed movies, right? It's not like he had been exposed to it.
Roughly 40 years late, but he came around. Right?
Better late than never.
Right. But nonetheless, by 1980, most of the tiki aesthetic went aloha, as you said, in the name of progress. And just some examples of tiki architecture, tiki culture existed still, but they were mostly on the West Coast.
Yeah, 1980. Well, we've talked a lot about the late 70s and early 80s. Of course, punk was in. New wave was on the way. It was about to crash on America's shores, right? All but wiping tiki off the map, I think, after disco and everything else.
Yeah, which those are great movements too. It's everything to every season, turn, right? So,
except in Hawaii, are there really seasons in Hawaii?
Nah, it's all beautiful season there.
Okay,
and thinking a little bit about why then? Well, a couple things. When you think back, like tiki was associated with sort of the cheesy parents from the 50s and 60s. So the coming of age suburban adults in the 1970s rejected it as old and tired.
You know what I think of? I think of Edward Scissorhands and how that movie totally made fun of suburbia.
Yeah. I think that's it. We're looking at probably coming of age adults that grew up with Woodstock and the civil rights movement and things like that. And they were looking at this like, oh, man, are you being serious right now?
Sure.
Like, this is crazy. But, the allure of the tropical lifestyle didn't just disappear. It was still there. But the taste of patrons, they weren't flocking to the South Pacific anymore. They were staying closer to home. And we could probably thank a young man by the name of Mr. James William Buffett for singing about the joys of Margaritaville and then, of course, opening a slew of restaurants. But,
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Yeah. So I guess that's all we need to say. The trend was there. The trend disappeared.
Okay. But as we mentioned a minute ago, in the late 90s, another wave crashed on America's shore, and tiki sort of made a comeback, right?
Yeah, there was major interest from a lot of different sources. And, the main being is it was a new generation, the kids of the Woodstock era parents. They were rediscovering this tiki culture. Again, the Woodstock era kids sort of labeled it as square, but the new generation, which I would say that's my generation, they found something really new and cool to be appropriated and repurposed.
Yeah, I think it was far enough removed from... I mean, they were not alive when World War II was being fought. No. I think it was seen as sort of this cool kitsch style. It was winkingly exotic, right? They were, again, very much in on the joke when they were hitting a thrift store, garage sale, or estate sale or something, right?
Yeah. And, think about it, too. Like, in that time of the 90s, grunge was happening. There was a lot of, and we've talked about that. We've talked about movies like Slacker and things like that, too. But think about it like, I know I spent a lot of time in thrift stores and secondhand stores and yard sales, just trying to furnish my apartment and get clothes. And that's where all the tiki stuff was ending up. Yeah,
nobody cared about it. Everybody, wanted to get rid of it if they still had it, or if they inherited it, they had no use for it, so they ditched it.
Yeah. And, I remember thinking, as I would see some of that stuff and as I started buying it, I remember thinking, okay, this is cool. This is global. This is worldly. I don't know that I had a real sense that there were tiki bars in the U.S. and that it was strictly a U.S. thing. But, I spent a lot of time in those kind of stores.
Okay, I have a question for you you've been to Hawaii, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when you were thrifting, had you been to Hawaii at this point?
I had not.
Okay. So, that explains maybe why you didn't know some of the roots or bigger picture stuff about Tiki, because it was really out of context for you. You were just sort of seeing these one-offs randomly tossed on a shelf in a store.
Well, I knew it was from the South Pacific. I certainly was exposed.
Yeah.
What I didn't know is that Tiki culture was so prevalent in the U.S.
Okay.
And that I certainly didn't know it was strictly a U.S. thing. I just looked at it like it was global. It could be like in a thrift store, you would see a tiki mask from Maori culture next to, a tchotchke of the Eiffel Tower. It was all sort of off of other shores.
And we need to remind people this is pre-internet. So it's not unless you specifically were seeking out a book on Tiki or Tiki, like you wouldn't even necessarily know what to call it. So.
Well, it was early internet, I think.
Oh, baby internet?
Yeah, it was baby internet.
It was Todd's first apartment, baby internet. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
Yeah.
The world was so innocent back then.
And adorable.
That's right. What happened?
All right. Well, I think I have found the keystone in all of this, Elliot. And I'm not afraid to share with you the maker here. In 1999, a marine biologist named Steven Hillenberg created an underwater pop culture phenomenon. You know him as SpongeBob Squarepants.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, that styling of that show was heavily influenced by tiki art and music, backgrounds, and underwater elements. They reflected sort of that pop Polynesian style and South Pacific culture. And even if you think back to Squidward's house, I mean, this is an intellectual podcast. We do have to talk about references like Squidward's house here.
Oh, yeah. There probably is a freestanding podcast called Squidward's House somewhere
there probably
out there.
Is, yeah. But the styling, it was reminiscent of a moai, which is another word for a giant head statue from Easter Island, Chile. But come on, it's a tiki. Just look at it.
Yeah, well, we're going to get letters about that, I think. Okay, well, SpongeBob, that's fine and good. But that's just sort of one thing, and it was on a kids' network. That doesn't strike me as a major spark. So, isn't there a movement of some sort behind this? I mean, how did the crowd come along with it? How did everybody hop on the same longboard, Todd?
More than SpongeBob? Okay. Well, yes, you're right. Think about that time, too. You were right out of school, a couple years out of school. You were early in your career. And think about the lowbrow movement that was gaining momentum, particularly in California, and then it spread from there. That's the fusion of all these retro subcultures coming together, man.
Oh, yeah. I think about our street culture episode when we talked about Ed Big Daddy Roth and Rat Rod and Rat Fink and Hot Rod culture. We've talked about underground comics. We, have a little bit mentioned things related to tattoo history, rockabilly music.
Yeah.
I mean, we are, as we love to say, we live between the bookends of highbrow and lowbrow, and we appreciate each in equal measure.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, just a moment in time, as we're recording this, you're going to go see one of our favorites, the Reverend Horton Heat, tonight.
I am, and I'm super excited. I've probably seen him 10 or 11 times. I've had, actually, my wife and I have had the chance to meet him just hanging out in one of the clubs where we've seen him. Super nice guy, incredibly talented, and yeah, it's just such a fun show.
And really, he was one of the engines that helped bring back lowbrow through rockabilly music.
Oh yeah, and their music has been used in commercials. Weren't they on the Drew Carey show? Didn't they have a cameo on Drew Carey?
It was a TV show.
I think it was Drew Carey. I'll try to dig that up, and we could always post that.
But we love the lowbrow movement, as you said.
Yeah,
and in particular, I'm born and raised in the South, and while lowbrow got its start in California, there's a lot of commonality between hot rods and sort of the subcultures that you might find. And what lowbrow did is it found its common ground with these fans of tiki, and it was blending these influences into this new cultural hybrid. And you could start to see that movement of the late 90s, early 2000s. It was manifesting itself across music, art, lifestyle spaces, particularly in like the new generation of tiki bars, that they embraced what we had seen as pictures of tiki bars about that point, and even more exaggerated. I mean, tongue firmly in cheek, it became ironic. And I think that's when I super fell in love with it. It became kitschy, and definitely it was Americana, and it was vintage. It was all the things that I really love. And it was driven by this love of nostalgia and this appreciation, reappreciation maybe, for mid-century design, and this sort of renewed interest in craft, and in that particular world, particularly craft cocktails.
Ooh, wait, are we still talking about tiki, or are we talking about ourselves?
Well, I'd say it's a little of both.
Ah, yeah. A little of this, a little of that. That's how we approach pop culture, and, Todd, that's how I like to approach my mixed drinks.
Great idea, man. Layered, colorful, delicious.
Okay, it sounds like you're sold on picking up the next round, and to that I say aloha.
Wait, what? I'm saying the same thing to my bank balance, man. We'll be right back. Hi. We want to take a moment to mention that if you're enjoying this episode, we have an archive of topics ranging from the Olympics to movie posters,
Think Ghostbusters,
iconic images,
think Bigfoot,
punk music,
the Ramones,
Saturday morning cartoons,
the Pink Panther,
and failed products like OK Soda. Visit our website at twodesignerswalkintoabar.com for full episode notes and visuals, the latest blog content, and to sign up for our newsletter.
Follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Find the links on our website or search using the phrase "Two Designers Walk Into a Bar."
Most importantly, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps more people like you find podcasts like this.
And tell a friend about us. Send them a link to our podcast from your listening platform of choice.
And if you're inclined, buy our merchandise. Stickers, coasters, magnets, t-shirts. We're designers. We make good stuff, and it helps support the show.
Get in touch. Use the contact form on our website or send an email to hello@twodesignerswalkintoabar.com.
We read every message we get. Honest.
And we're available for speaking gigs. Email us to learn more.
Okay, now, back to the bar.
Okay, Todd, so we're back. I appreciate you picking up our colorful cocktails. And, geez, look at our table. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these flower decorations that had adorned them.
To cover our tab, we'll probably have to sell them on the street.
Huh. Okay, not a bad idea. Maybe sell them in a vintage store, right?
Yeah.
So we finished talking about the tiki resurgence. Before the break, we were talking about essentially the spark of the tiki movement in the late 90s, early aughts. But it's still, I don't think it spread like wildfire, right? It was still just sort of these sparks in certain parts of the country a little bit and with certain pockets of people. When did it start to go more mainstream?
Yeah. How did it coalesce? And by doing that, here I am. I'm folding my fingers together, coalescing. How did it come together?
I like that. I feel the patches on the elbows of your tweed jacket you're wearing now. Not very Hawaiian, but very scholarly nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm projecting synergy here.
Okay.
With this. But yeah, no doubt, there were pockets of sparks, especially in Southern California. And it gained momentum, as I said before, through the Lowbrow Movement in the late 90s. And lovers of lowbrow, like myself and like you, and the individual tiki revitalists, they needed a place to meet.
Because all the tiki bars had been closed, all the restaurants.
They weren't opening up yet, so they
Yeah.
needed a place to share and sort of enjoy all this stuff. And, we're talking not just about the bars, but the artists, the writers, the carvers, obviously the mixologists that worked in the bars. They took this stuff seriously. And all of that kind of coming together created a domino effect.
Sure. And obviously one place where enthusiasts of all stripes like to get together are conventions, right?
Yeah.
So I know that San Diego, again, you're talking Southern California, isn't there one called Tiki Oasis? I don't know. Is it
Tiki Oasis,
it's a big one for sure. Is it the biggest? I mean,
it is. Yes, you're right. I'm so proud of you, Elliot, for knowing that.
Thanks, Google.
It is now the largest tiki convention in its 25th year. So it started in the time of this recording. It started in the year 2000.
Well, I would say regardless of when someone's listening to it, it started in the year 2000.
Well, right, but it won't be in its 25th year when someone listens to it in 50 years.
Stupid math.
Well, it's kind of just physics, isn't it? It's not really math. It's time. I don't think we can adjust that.
Look, time's a man-made construct.
Oh, all right.
Which I know because you never seem to be on time when it comes to ordering the next round.
I'm always on time. But also, speaking of the time of this recording, Exotic Con 3 is going to be in L.A. this very weekend, Elliot. Exotic Con 3.
Exotic Con. Okay.
So
I think, how about this? How about we stop recording right now, we load up the Airstream, and we start to head west? What do you think?
It does sound like a really good idea. I think we should probably finish this bit first, but yeah.
We can finish it while we're driving. No one will even notice.
Yeah. I do want to make sure, we're going to Exotic Con with a K con and not Exotic Con with a C con. Otherwise, we're going to come home with some ball pythons or something like that. They're actually two conventions. The one with the K is the one we want to go to.
So one is Tiki Culture and the other one is Exotic Animals.
Yes, exactly.
But don't those two things commingle? Aren't they sort of found in the same part of the world?
Yeah, they could. They certainly could overlap, but, you don't want them in the same building at the same time, I think.
That would actually be pretty amazing.
Well,
I'll have to remind me to tell you the story about when I was in Baltimore and went to an Orioles game. At the same time, there was a soccer friendly at the football stadium. At the same time, there was a Comic-Con convention, all in the same place.
Oh, how
you want to
funny,
talk
yeah.
about a collision of humanity?
I love when that happens.
That was amazing.
I love when that happens, yeah. Here in Raleigh, where I live, which is home to the North Carolina State Fairgrounds, they'll often have like a gun and knife show and an anime festival at the same time. That's a little bit of a collision there too. But let's get back on topic here. We were talking about how all these sort of sparks came together. We talked about baby internet too. Like here we are in the early 2000s.
Baby internet, yeah.
It's so adorable. Technology really helped this subculture coalesce into a full-blown movement, and it helped create the events we were just talking about. It helped people merchandise some of their products, and it created digital forums, like a really cool platform that we pulled from called Tiki Central.
Yeah. Gosh, that's an amazing website, isn't it?
It is wonderful. Yeah.
We'll have a link to that in our episode notes.
Oh, yeah, and I freely give them a whole lot of credit for some of the digging and the research that we were able to find because the people are really into it. And it just helped create now a virtual tiki village for global enthusiasts. And, it's helpful to remember as this is progressing that tiki isn't just an aesthetic. It became this mindset for this community. And it became this sort of shared language of how they saw things, and partially probably due to escapism and stuff like that.
So you could start in a thrift store aisle, really, and as we've talked about, end up with a whole tiki room full of a whole new circle of friends, right? Have your tiki pad and invite your neighbors over and have a little bit of a luau cookout. Sort of like the internet added kerosene to a coconut-scented flame.
Yeah, I love that analogy. Yeah, and, the entire world started to embrace this American export at that time.
Yeah, this is the thing. As we talked about in our kickoff episode for this series, it was all of these oceanic, these really disparate. I did a little bit of research on this, and Oceania, like the area where all these different tiki icons and symbols and everything were pulled from, it was like 12,000 square nautical mile, just all of these different islands across this whole region in the South Pacific. It was huge. So this all gets sort of snapped up, comes to America. I don't know what you'd refer to it as. We sort of kitsch it up a little bit, make it commoditized. Yeah, we are really good at packaging and merchandising and then exporting things.
Other people's stuff.
Yeah, look, how big is our entertainment industry and what's that all based on, right? It's like, oh, you foreigners made this movie. No one's heard of you. We'll remake the movie and then we'll sell it back to you in English. But as a result of all this, there are scenes in places like Germany, Japan, Spain, the UK. So it really went from being an American thing, then an American thing people rolled their eyes at, to a rediscovered American thing. And now it's a global thing, courtesy of America, I guess, in a weird way.
It is. And, Elliot, with that comes an argument over cultural appropriation.
Another thing America's really good at.
Yeah. Well, two things, arguing and cultural appropriation.
There you go.
Okay. Let's touch grass for a second here. Tiki is this exotic fantasy. Is it authentic to the South Pacific or Southeast Asia culture? No, not exactly. You've traveled around that area. I've traveled around that area. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's lush. Tiki culture is a wink to that, obviously.
Yeah, you go to certain hotels or resorts and they kitsch it up, they play it up for sure.
Yeah, so I hear when people say, okay, it's cultural appropriation, but you know what? So is wearing pants. That's cultural appropriation. So,
So what you're saying is the next time I get arrested, I'm really just fighting cultural appropriation when I'm not wearing pants.
You could argue that.
See, yeah, I told them that the last time I was kicked out of the bar, but no one was willing to listen to me.
Well, I think where we are in today's tiki culture is people are using it more as the personal expression and their own curation of their sort of happy places, probably within their homes and their smaller tiki bars. It's not just, I don't think anybody's trying to sell blind replication like, hey, this is what it's like if you were to go to Tahiti.
Oh, yeah. Like any pop culture revival, the best versions of kitsch and this sort of fun also have to come. You're gonna, as you're collecting this stuff, you're simply gonna stumble on some of this controversy or some of these different takes on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have to know what you're borrowing and you have to know why it's being borrowed, and you sort of have to know where the lines are drawn, I think.
Yeah. I think we get it. It's a difference between homage and costume up stuff. It's well, speaking for myself, and I think you probably too, but I think we appreciate the history that came along with it, and we appreciate that it's a cultural movement like any other cultural movement that we've talked about.
Yeah, there's sort of two sides to it, right? There's the source material, like how did Tiki originate, as we start to wrap this podcast up. There's sort of the story of how Tiki originated and how it came to be a thing. And then there's the story of now, 2 generations away from that, the artifacts that came from Tiki and the story they're telling about post-World War II America, right? And so they become a window into that story.
Yeah. It has become a metaphor for creativity and reinvention. And it's about sort of these layers of lush meaning. And I got to mention a couple modern artists who have really been inspired by that and are doing today great work that you can see the influences. So if you will just indulge me for a second, and we will put these folks on our website because these are some of my favorite artists out there today, because I think some of them would say they follow lowbrow. But so one guy, Bosco, for instance, he really is the main guy that started the whole revival of late 90s tiki culture. He carved wood. He's a tiki carver and just started doing it. And most everything that I saw pointed to his love of doing that, and he's still doing that and does a great job. And I have one of his pieces back in my studio. It was given to me as a gift. I love it.
You should donate it to the bar so you can share that love with other people, Todd.
Well, I'll consider that. Okay, another couple artists, a guy named Derek Yaniger, who is an illustrator, I think in Georgia. That's where I met him, was in Georgia. And he is actually the official illustrator for the convention you mentioned earlier, Tiki Oasis. And he does a lot of kind of mid-century blending, beatnik culture, cocktail culture. I have a couple of his pieces as well.
Cool.
Super wonderful guy. A guy named John Mulder, who goes by the handle Ekum Bookum, who is a tiki mug designer.
Should be Ekum Bookum Dano.
Ekum Bookum Dano.
A little Hawaii 5-0 reference there, Todd. See.
Great tiki mug designer out of St. Petersburg, Florida. And the artist Shag, Josh Agle.
Oh, yeah, we love Shag, yeah.
Very well known, nice guy. Met him also and have a couple of his pieces. And really embracing the Palm Springs lifestyle and bringing mid-century modern aesthetic to his art. And, we can't forget some folks that, we might roll our eyes at a little bit. Ed Hardy and Sailor Jerry.
I have some Sailor
artists.
Jerry rum right behind the bar with my name on it, Todd, right after we wrap up this conversation.
Well, you'll be rolling your eyes after hitting that, I bet.
I will. Or just closing them.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So, these artists, they became known for this eclectic, some people call it pop surrealism, mid-century inspired, tiki inspired. They blend all this nostalgia with the modern twist, and it really has kind of helped define the visual language of the lowbrow movement. So my final thought on this, Elliot, and would love to hear yours, is it's not just about being kitsch. I mean, I do love that we appreciate the irony of what tiki culture is. We've talked about where it came from and how it sort of exploded. But it's really about the craft. It's about this community of people who are looking for folks to sort of share this love with. And it's about really kind of giving yourself permission to escape and, not just escape for happy hour, but, to have a little hut in your backyard. So whether you build a tiki bar in your basement or, find your flavor at the next Tiki Con, enjoy the art of it and, make it your own.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end it. I mean, if it's done well, tiki isn't frozen in time, right? I mean, it's always
right.
changing, fermenting, always a little bit surprising.
Just like a good rum punch, my friend. Sweet, spicy, stronger than you expected.
Sounds good. Rum punch? Why, yes, I'll have one as well.
Wait, what?
Hey, get us a poo-poo platter, too, while you're up there. Hurry. Looking at my watch here, and the bar's kitchen's closing soon. So, on Todd's behalf, I will tell everyone goodbye, and we will see you next time.
I'm not okay with this.